Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Clark County Commissioner Segerblom is here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology, like this electronic eye, that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you because trucks move America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Segerblom. He is a Clark County Commissioner of District E. Pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Glad to be here.
I guess my first question really has to be about civil unrest and your concerns about not only what's going on now in Las Vegas and around the country, but what potentially could happen on election night. What are the plans? What are the discussions so far?
As far as I know, we're obviously nervous, but we're really more focused on election turnout and making sure that everyone has a chance to vote. As you know, this is the first year when you can actually register at the polling place. And I anticipate that there's going to be a ton of people who procrastinate last minute. This is elections, a big deal, and they show up. And I just want to make sure that our polling places are prepared for that.
Okay, but I mean, are you getting briefings from the sheriff
No.
as to no?
No, it's not at that level at all. It's really we don't anticipate anything like that.
I had the same conversation with the Washoe County District Attorney soon after the lockdown, and he also said that there were no ongoing discussions. And then a couple of weeks later, we had windows being knocked out at City Hall, all kinds of vandalism downtown. It seems like we've gotten, and share this with me if you will. This is seeming in a way like we're going back to 1968, where we're in an election cycle, we've got conventions going on, just occurred, and we're seeing the level of violence being ramped up. Do you see any comparison between 68 and now?
I do, and not to blame the police, but I think if you look at what happened in Chicago in '68 and things like that, a lot of it was an overreaction by the police. So I think we all learned from what happened back in May, and hopefully we won't repeat that. Because the fact is, all these demonstrations are very peaceful. When the police start to push back, then things get out of hand. And of course, there's going to be some people in the crowd that want to create some type of violence. But the reality is, I've never seen anything as peaceful and as prolonged as what we've seen in Las Vegas. It's just amazing. I live next to the mayor's house, and every Saturday and Sunday morning, there's a group out there parading around her house saying Black Lives Matter and trying to encourage better, get less police activity. So this has been going on for 3 months. So it's just phenomenal.
And everybody agrees, I think, that demonstrations are good and they're part of our civic rights. But behind the peaceful demonstrators, you see people who are interested in looting, and then you have the third element, which is anarchists, which are more than happy to come in and blow up the system, period. So do you have concerns about that, or do you think at this point in time things are under control? Because, we hear conversations, John L. Smith has written several times now about the Proud Boys and Boogaloo. It seems like it's a tinderbox waiting to be lit up.
It could be, but again, we have not seen that since back in May. But it truly is something where the Bundys and their progenitors are out there actively looking to create violence and create a stir. And I think there's a lot of people that think that this is going to be the revolution, but it's really not on my side, it's the other side, and we just have to be careful and not let them go us into something.
And I agree with you on that, but to be fair, there's extremism on both sides. Would you not agree?
Not on our side to the extent of our side is aggrieved. There are people being shot in the back 7 times, things like that are unacceptable, and that creates attention. But to think that is somehow people wanting to have a revolution, this is people that are saying, wait a minute, look at what's happening to us. We're being oppressed. And then the other side's come in and say, no, we're going to double down on it. And then, of course, the president's there, encouraging the right wing and the Boogaloo Boys and all these people on even harder. So it's coming from the top, but it's against my side. It's not on behalf of my side.
You were a huge supporter of Bernie Sanders, as you said on this program many times. Are you comfortable with Joe Biden and where his campaign is at this point?
Absolutely. I know that we have a lot to do to bring the Bernie people back in the fold, or to unite the Bernie people and the Biden people. But if you look back in history, I think at this point we're farther along than before, much farther along than we were in 2016. And at the end of the day, Trump is so bad that I think almost anybody, sane person, was going to say Biden is better. And the reality is, we look at his platform and look at his vice president. It's fantastic. I really see a renaissance if he's elected.
Was Kamala Harris your choice for VP?
I think so. When you look around at what the options are, we need a new generation. We need a woman. We need someone of color, obviously. So, and a lot of people say, well, she's a prosecutor. She's not that liberal. But if you're from California and you're elected politician, elected Democrat, you're a very progressive, let's face it. So I never would have dreamed that the Speaker of the House would be from San Francisco and the Vice President would be from San Francisco. That politics there it's a hardball sport, but the truth is the center in San Francisco is to the left of the rest of the country.
Let's talk about what's happened in the last couple of days here as we tape this. First of all, the governor put a moratorium on evictions, extended it by 45 days, was getting a lot of heat from the realty world because of that. And then right behind it, the CDC comes out and says no evictions till the end of the year based upon the potential spread of coronavirus from people being homeless. Your thoughts on that?
I support the governor. I support the CDC. The fact is, we have a program in place where if you're a landlord, we'll be able to come to you and offer you money. The money's not going to go to the tenant. It's going to go to the landlord through this mediation process that Barbara Buckley's in charge of. And the end of the day, we cannot have people out on the street. I mean, the MGM just laid off 18,000 people. There's just, in Las Vegas at least, there are thousands and thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people unemployed with no job prospect in sight. And you can't put those people on the street. So we have to figure out some way to keep them in their house, make sure the landlords are paid. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have the people in the house than have the landlords paid.
So that begs the question, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, obviously, is, what happens to the landlords while, in Barbara Buckley, there's nobody better, I think, to be in charge of something like this, never get in Barbara's way if she wants to get something done. But it's still going to take time. The Dieter is trying to catch up desperately. Zach Conine, the state treasurer, has put a hold on putting out more money there because they've got so many people trying to get it. Then you're seeing, the next level obviously are the landlords, and the point has been made, a lot of small landlords, people that own 1 or 2 buildings that are just trying to get through their retirement, who are getting hurt there. But the bigger problem is going to be the mortgage servicers, because they have to pay the investors no matter what, and yet they're not getting their money either. So it's a giant mess.
I don't disagree, but you have to focus on who's going to be hurt the most and where the real problem is. And the problem to start with is the tenant. So if the landlord isn't getting paid, the landlord is going to have a problem. If the mortgage company's not getting paid, their investors have a problem. But I'd rather have the investors have a problem than having the person out on the street. So I think eventually we can unwind this, and hopefully Congress is going to give us more money, and hopefully we'll get the unemployment thing going. But at the end of the day, you cannot put people out on the street when they are trying to find a job and there just literally are no jobs.
How optimistic are you that when the Senate comes back to DC in September, that they are going to come to an agreement before the election?
I'm 100% optimistic. The Republicans realize they have to make a deal. They cannot let this thing just linger, because their members are the ones at stake. I mean, these key states, the battleground states for Senate, that's where the problem is. And if they let those people hang, they're going to make sure they lose the Senate. I think they'll lose the Senate anyway, but at least they should try to fight. But if we have to wait till Biden's elected and take over, then we'll do that. But there's going to be help from the federal government. I have no doubt about it. And we're putting into place a process whereby these landlords will get paid at some point. They're just going to have to suck it up in the meantime.
Are you concerned that Nevada does not have the extra $100 a month to go along with the $300 months with the federal government, that we just flat out don't have the money, or should we find a way to find the money?
I'm not. I mean, we just don't have the money. But we're only talking about 3 weeks in August. I think, again, I'm hopeful that the Congress will come up with a solution, and we'll get that money, get back to the $600 or maybe $400 a week added, which will bring everybody back to whole. But we just don't have the money. That was really a ploy by Trump to try to make it look like he was doing something, but it failed like everything else he's tried.
All right, let's take a break. More with Segerblom when we come back.
Things are heating up at the Carson Valley Inn. Win your share of $200,000 through September 26th. Cash and free play every weekend, plus 5 times points Fridays. The good times are at CVI.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal gas station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Things are heating up at the Carson Valley Inn. Win your share of $200,000 through September 26th. Cash and free play every weekend, plus 5 times points Fridays. The good times are at CVI.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Clark County Commissioner Segerblom. You talked about the layoffs at MGM, 18,000 people across the country. We have seen so many things sped up that we were expecting over the next 5 to 10 years and beyond. Automation, robotics, etc., telemedicine. Is what's going on in the gaming industry just a natural progression of where, MGM was already looking to cut the budget by a huge amount. When Eldorado was talking about taking over Caesars, they were talking about $500 million a year savings that they were looking at. Isn't this just attrition part of that process, not just COVID related?
I don't think so. I think it's very much COVID related. At the end of the day, people have to make the beds, people have to sweep the floors, people have to deal with the cards, people have to serve the drinks, they have to cook the food, do the dishes. Our industry is very, very labor intensive, and you can create all kinds of machines, but at the end of the day, it's going to be labor intensive. We're looking at coming back 100% whenever this is over. And I guess the real question is whether Las Vegas and the convention industry are dying breed. And I don't think so. I think there's always going to be a need to come someplace, and we are so primed to be the future. We have all kinds of construction going on, all kinds of new ideas. I just got last night at the new boring company Tesla plan to have a subway under the strip, all around the strip to the airport. I mean, we are in dramatic change. But at the end of the day, it's going to be lots of jobs. It's just a question of getting there.
Well, and I don't disagree with you, and I think anybody who thinks the convention industry or the gaming industry is finished is crazy. And you only have to look at the numbers where things have opened up. The pent-up demand has been extraordinary, and the Las Vegas Review-Journal was reporting traffic counts, and they were showing that the numbers are actually rising, especially up in northern Nevada, but even in southern Nevada, you saw a huge traffic jam on Monday going back into California. You brought up the monorail. Well, actually, you didn't bring up the monorail. You brought up the Boring Company, but what's actually going on? And Steve Hill actually broke this story on Nevada Newsmakers last December, that the idea that the Boring Company was going to expand their subway system beyond the convention center, which is the test site, but already Encore and Resorts World have signed on to put in 2 extensions. Now the Convention Authority is going to buy the monorail at a relatively bargain price, around $24 million and change. And how soon do you think, from the briefings you got in the last 24 hours, that you're going to see work underway to expand this to potentially Mandalay Bay, the airport, Raiders Stadium, etc.?
Well, as I said, I literally saw the plans for the whole network actually going downtown too last night. So they're already thinking about it. The question is going to be who pays for it and who runs it. And I don't think those issues have been decided yet. And the truth is we haven't had one work yet. So let's get a little bit of it under the belt as far as how it works. And I'm not sure how many cars we can put in these things. How many people we can actually transport. But if we can transport enough people, we can shut down the strip to traffic, make it a walkable place. There's just so much we can do to change Las Vegas for the better, in my opinion. So I'm really excited.
Was that one of the things that was discussed, was making the strip more walkable, taking traffic out?
Christian Giuliani proposed that several years ago, and I've been pushing it lately. No one seems to want to listen, but if you've been down there lately without cars, it is fantastic. It really changes the whole environment, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to just walk the strip. Maybe we could open it up at night for delivery vehicles or something, but it is just so ripe to walk, and that's really the future of entertainment. There's people getting outside, walking around. So it just, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just a question of how fast we get there.
Okay, well, for another day, we'll discuss, where you would put the traffic. I'm just thinking at 119 degrees in Las Vegas, it's not necessarily the best place to be walking, but that would be a good place to stop and have a drink of some kind. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Tick Segerblom after this time out.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Tick Segerblom. He is a Clark County Commissioner, District E. I thought a really good piece of news came across from the Las Vegas Review-Journal this morning about World Market, which is in downtown Las Vegas, near the Smith Center. And they are planning to go ahead with their convention this year at about 20% of how many people they normally get. So instead of about 40,000, it'll be about 8,000 people. But I thought that that was pretty amazing and great news considering all the cancellations we've had of conventions so far. Your thoughts on that?
I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it'll give us a chance to see if there's a way to bring back the convention business on a part-time basis or on a not 100%, and let's see how this works out. I know the governor really put his neck on the line to do this, but hopefully it works out, and that'll be an example. Because the fact is, we need the convention business. We've really turned our town into a convention destination, and from September to June, that's the mid-time, during the middle of the week, that's our business. So we have to get it going. This may be a good way to start to see how it works, bring it back at 20% or 30% or half, and then eventually bring it back to 100%. But the convention center has just been rebuilt, but starting in January, it'll be in a whole new place. We have lots of other convention spaces just been built, so it's definitely, everything is built for that.
All right, now I'm going to ask you to put on your former trial lawyer's hat and ask you about the immunity that has been given so far to the casino industry, the major casino industry at this point in time. But a lot of people are saying that they're upset that the schools weren't given this and others weren't given this. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I personally don't agree with it. I think that anytime you give immunity, you're just asking for trouble. And the reality is, I mean, how would you prove that you caught something in a hotel or didn't catch something in a hotel? So I don't think it was really a big deal. But in the bigger scheme of things, I guess when the negotiations were made, the workers were protected, which is the key. The hospitals don't have the protection, and the doctors have the protection, which is good, because that is where we're going to, I think, find out that some nursing homes just really were super negligent, and allowed this to fester in their buildings knowingly. But at the end of the day, you can't give any industry immunity. The travelers are there for a reason. They're basically our watchdogs. They're protectors to make sure that business doesn't go crazy.
Okay, and just quickly, we got less than 30 seconds here. The school districts also were not included.
Yeah, well, they have a cap, under state law, so their damages are not that high. But again, what we're really talking about is where something is dangerous and you let people or kids or parents let it happen to them anyway. We're not talking about something where it's incidental, where two kids go to school and one kid infects the other kid. But if they know there's an environment that's bad and they just ignore it, then they need to be held liable. That's how our system works, and that's how we protect people. And it's also the fact that they know they could be harmed or be sued is what a little incentive to make sure they don't do stupid things.
And that's where we have to leave it. Take Segerblom. I'm sorry we didn't have enough issues to cram into this half hour. A busy show. Thank you very much for doing this. I know you're off to a county commission meeting. Appreciate it. And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.